starting the segment. Hey YouTube, if you like the video, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment down below. I very much appreciate it. And over the weekend, 10 Buffalo, another mass shooting has happened in Buffalo, killing 10 people. And the reason for this is specifically is that this person has been this white kid, 18 years old, from what I've read, and he has a manifesto online. I didn't read it, but I have listened to it. And Xander Hall actually has a video on that. We're not going to talk about that in here because go watch his video. It's a decent video, but is the manifesto doesn't bring up anything new. It does give like a motivation for this, but that's pretty much it. Nothing new about that. Kind of a time waster. The reason why this happened was because this coward, 18-year-old kid, went up to a majority black neighborhood and shot up this supermarket because he believes in the white replacement theory. Now, if you don't know what the great replacement slash white replacement theory is that it was started back in like 2017, I believe, and it pretty much states that depends on like if you're a Nazi or a fascist, it's either that the elite or the Jews, which is like the elite to them, they believe that Jews control the world, which is completely false. They believe that they are bringing immigration to white countries, and that would lead to the genocide of white people. Now, a lot of people thinking like, how would that lead to the genocide of white people? Well, to them, this genocide is just white people choosing to be in a relationship with non-white people and having kids with non-white people consensually. That is genocide to them, which is just not genociding. It's people just seeing and liking other people and coming together and creating kids with those other people. But seeing that white people, you have to, in order to be white, considered white, you have to be pure of like any other race. You have to be pure European. So having that specific definition, it would lead down to, if a white person has a kid with a black person, that kid would be black because that kid is not pure white. So that definition of whiteness will lead down to there being less white people because whiteness is just made up, just like race is made up. Whiteness is made up and it can mean anything. So white genocide isn't happening. It's not. It's just people just being free and wanting to do whatever they want with their lives. So that is the reason why this person shot up this this supermarket, because he believed that black people were replacing white people by just just having good relationships with white people. And so he killed 10 people who I do want to name. And I'm not going to name the shooter because the reason why he did this was because he wanted to put a stamp on history, and he wanted to be remembered for this, which he's not going to be remembered for this. Even if I say his name, he's still not going to be remembered for this, because when it comes to these mass shootings, who remembers the Christ shooting massacre guy? No one does. We just remember it as a Christ shooting massacre and just a random white guy that killed a lot of different other people. That's what we remember. We never remember the name of the person. So all these people who thinking that they're gonna be remembered in history are not. What they did will be remembered, and hopefully will start like people realizing that these conspiracy theories do radicalize people into doing this, and we can stop that. But them themselves are not gonna be remembered at all. But the 10 include Aaron Salter, a retired Buffalo police officer working as security guard at the store. Salter fired multiple shots at the assailant, striking his body armor at least once, although the bullet did not pierce. Sad. Officials called him a hero who saved lives by running toward danger. A local resident said he cared about the community and looked after the store. Ruth Whitfield, 86. Damn, 86-year-old, and imagine being 86 and having your life taken away. Like, he's so close and just dying peacefully in his sleep. But, sadly, that was taken away from him. Was picking up groceries after visiting her. Oh, it was a woman. Never mind. It was a woman. So yeah, was picking up groceries after visiting her husband at a nursing home, as she did every day. She was the mother of retired Buffalo Fire Commissioner Garnell Whitfield, who told the Buffalo News she was a mother to the motherless and a blessing to all of us. Whitfield attributed his mother's strength and commitment to family to her religious faith. Catherine Macy, 72, was a beautiful soul who was killed while shopping. Sister Barbara Massey said, Hayward Patterson, 67, was a deacon at a nearby church. He had gone by this church soup kitchen before heading to the supermarket, where he offered an informal taxi service and would drive people home with their bags. The other people killed in the shooting were Roberta A. Dury, 32, Margus D. Morrison, 52, Andre McNeil, 53, Geraldine Talley, 62, Christine Shanley, 65, and Pearl Young, 67. The injured, including Dare Goodman, 20, Jennifer Warrington, 50, and Christopher Braden, 55. So all the people that sadly died in this, I would like to say, may you rest in peace. And yeah, so the shooter, after committing this, he actually tried to kill himself, but he was too much of a coward to do it. So, and thankfully, the police grabbed him and they have him in custody, and hopefully that will lead to him being in prison for the rest of his life, because that is what he deserves to be. Now, this is done, sadly, and we can't do anything to prevent this specific situation of happening. But what we can do is prevent something similar to this happening, because there will be another mass shooting in their future. It's just a matter of time. And the reason for that is because of big news outlets like Fox News, and specifically Tucker Carlson, actually the most viewed political pundit in America right now, and he has been pushing the Great Replacement theory like pretty much every time he airs. He at least has a segment on it right now, and here we go. I'll just show you all this.
Know that the left and all the little gatekeepers on Twitter become literally hysterical if you use the term replacement. If you suggest that the Democratic Party is trying to replace the current electorate, the voters now casting ballots, with new people, more obedient voters from the third.
Which is not true, because he said voters of the third world. Okay, dog. Back in 2020, we can see that Hispanic people, which is a big group that they say is also replacing white people, and it is part of the big Great Replacement. Hispanic people have been actually voting more Republican, sadly. But that right there debunks this whole argument that Democrats are specifically doing this so they can get more votes for them. That's just false. If they understand, Hispanic people are just as a lot of us are just as conservative, sadly, as racist white people like Tucker Carlson here. So, but there's just too racist to see that.
World. But they become hysterical because that's what's happening, actually. Let's just say it. That's true. Let's say that again for emphasis, because it is the secret to the entire immigration debate. Demographic change is the key to the Democratic Party's political ambition.
Not true, but demographic change, if you just look up history or just look up any studies on this, is inevitable. It's going to happen. Like a lot of people think that Rome was like this just homogenous society. It wasn't. It was a very, very diverse society as well. Pretty much like every like huge huge like empire, huge like human society in the past has been like very diverse. Ancient Egypt, very diverse as well. So demographics changing is just inevitable. It's just gonna happen.
In other words, you're being replaced and there's nothing you can do about it. So shut up. I mean,
how do people keep him serious? He literally sounds so insane here. I don't understand how people can watch him. Look, he's just the Joker. He's just Joker laughing right now.
They're trying to change the population of the United States, and they hate it when you say that because it's true. Our country's being invaded by the rest of the world. Let me just state unequivocally, the country's being stolen from American citizens
is
as
not
we watch.
people
In
just
political terms, this
immigrating. That's
policy
it.
is called
Immigration is not stealing shit.
the replacement of legacy Americans with more obedient people from faraway countries.
Tucker Carlson actually had a segment on this because a lot of people, rightfully so, blame him and blame other people like him spreading this false conspiracy theory. So let's listen to his defense. I have watched this a bit, and he has said some very false shit, and I do want to debunk.
Didn't take them seriously enough, weren't paying close enough attention. In any case, they didn't fix it. They let a killer slip through. So
He's just blaming other people right now for this happening, instead of himself and like other people like him.
What did they do wrong with Peyton Gendron, and how can we learn from it? We should learn from it if we want to prevent more mass murders. But that's not at all what our leaders are asking tonight, hardly. Instead, they're asking the only question that ever occurs to them. How exactly can I benefit from this?
He is right now, what's it called? Starts with the P. He's projection. This is huge projection. Because he says that Biden right now is trying to benefit from this. He's not. Tucker is. Tucker is always trying to benefit from the pain of other people.
How can I leverage this tragedy to my advantage? How can other people suffer?
And he's doing that right now by blaming it on other people, and most specifically blaming it on the left. Even though on his manifesto, the shooting mass shooters manifesto, he has specifically said that he identifies as a white supremacist and a Nazi. So, you know.
Suffering make me more powerful. It didn't take long for Joe Biden to find a way. Biden flew to Buffalo this morning to speak about what Peyton Gendron did. There have been a number of mass murders since Biden became president. Some of them have been racially motivated.
Guess what, dog? You support Trump. There's way more mass shootings under Trump there is under Biden. It is true. There has been more than I wanted to see mass shootings under Biden, but there was more during Trump. And there was a whole white supremacist rally in Charlottesville that happened under Trump.
A little over a year ago, in fact, there was even another supermarket massacre that happened to have the same casualty total. A Syrian-born man murdered 10 people in Boulder, Colorado. He even used the same caliber rifle that Peyton Gendron brought to Buffalo. But Joe Biden didn't bother to fly to that crime scene. He didn't go to any of them, in fact. Biden went to Buffalo today.
Why would Biden go to the crime scene? He's not a detective. He's not part of the police. What would benefit a president of the United States going to the crime scene? What?
Because he thought he could blame his political opponents for what happened there, which of course he promptly did. Watch.
And other nations ask me, heads of state in other countries, ask me, what's going on? What in God's name happened on January 6th? What happened in Buffalo? What happened? They ask.
January 6th and the Buffalo massacre. So how is a political protest at the Capitol related to a murder spree by a demented teenager in New York State over the...
I'll tell you, Tucker. I will tell you how both of those things link. All right? When it comes to January 6th, okay? They all of them were brainwashed into thinking a false conspiracy theory that you, Tucker, has been peddling in your broadcast, probably like right after the after Biden won, and even to this day, you still peddle the election was stolen. So that is one way. And also, when it comes to the Buffalo shooting, he was brainwashed into thinking that the Great Replacement is happening, that white people are being replaced by immigrants that you have also peddled on your show. So those two are very good ways to link false conspiracy theories that have no basis to in reality at all.
The weekend. What do those two events have in common? And who exactly are these unnamed heads of state who are connecting these non-connected events in conversations with Joe Biden? You may have wondered that, but don't ask, because it's not meant to be asked. It is instead a dream sequence. It's a rhetorical device meant to connect everything that might challenge Joe Biden and bunch all of these things together in the same repulsive moral category. January 6th, mass murder, the bubonic plague, it's all the same, it's all bad. And because it's
What?
bad, Joe Biden
Bubonic
informed us
plague?
today,
Who brought up
after
the bubonic plague?
50 years, we're going to have
Is it
to
talking about COVID?
suspend the Bill of Rights. And we're going to begin where the Bill of Rights begins, with the freedom of speech.
You can't prevent people from being radicalized to violence, but we can address the relentless exploitation of the internet to recruit and mobilize terrorism.
The relentless exploitation of the internet to recruit and mobilize terrorism. Okay. But can anyone show, has anyone ever shown that this specific case, Peyton Gendron, was, quote, recruited and mobilized by the internet? Well, no.
Yes. On his own manifesto, he cited like other YouTubers, you know, and there has been also sources and data that shows that people who were very against the anti-SJW and like the woke agenda, like those the very reactionary people, those people have been radicalized and became very far right and believe in all the shit that believe in the Great Replacement and also that the election was stolen, all these baseless conspiracy theories. So yes, there has been data that's shown that has proven, and also the person who shot up the places, and when it comes to Christchurch and also this, has cited specific YouTubers and radicalizing them.
No, in fact, by his own account, he was mentally ill. He snapped. He'd been planning this for a long time. He did what his diseased brain commanded him to do. The internet did not make him do it. He did it himself. But even if Gendron...
But you made him do that, Tucker. You made him do it. You were a part of the problem because you say that the world as we know it is going to end, that you call it Great Replacement, using all these super, like very aggressive words to say, like, you know, white people are going to go extinct in the future. So what do you think a white kid who has no idea, like, how to stop this is going to react? He's going to react exactly like this.
Quote, radicalized by what he read on the internet, what then exactly? Many have been radicalized by what they've read. Paul Pot was radicalized by reading Das Kapital. He went on a murder spree. He killed more than 1 million people. Should we ban that book? Should we ban all books, all internet sites that, quote, radicalize people? What exactly is Joe Biden saying here? Well, he's saying that thanks to what happened in Buffalo over the weekend, you no longer have any rights at all, including the most basic, which is to read what you want. After nullifying the First Amendment, Joe Biden moved to the Second Amendment.
The venom of the haters and their weapons of war, the violence in the words and deeds that stalk our streets, our stores, our schools. This venom, this violence cannot be the story of our time. But there are certain things we can do. We can keep assault weapons off our streets. We've done it before.
So because a mentally ill 18-year-old used a specific rifle to commit these crimes, you
Remember,
can't have that rifle.
He got that rifle legally, from what I read, and also, but the bullets he got, I think he got it illegally. So clearly, mentally ill people have been shooting places up way too much in America. This phenomenon of people shooting up, committing mass murders, is only happening in America. So clearly, I don't want to get rid of guns. I like the Second Amendment. All right, I like guns, but what we do have is way too easy to get guns and give guns away. We need to make it harder for mentally ill people in order for them to have guns, and have it like, if a mentally ill person does does get their hands on a weapon, to punish the people that, you know, gave him that weapon.
Now, Joe Biden's bodyguards can have that rifle, so can Nancy Pelosi's, and of course they do. In fact, you pay for it all. But they're important.
But they're not committing mass shootings, okay?
And you are not. So
I mean, we're as citizens, we're not allowed to get bazookas. We're not allowed to get tanks. We're not allowed to get nukes. So what are you talking about?
Can't. So because the people in charge fail to protect shoppers in Buffalo, you're not allowed to defend your family, despite the fact you may believe your family's every bit as important as Joe Biden and his family, and Nancy Pelosi.
What do you mean? He didn't say, he said like assault weapons. You can still get pistols and stuff like that. He just said assault weapons. He's not going to get rid of all guns.
So we're going to defund the police and disarm you. That's how it works now. Sorry. And then Joe Biden got to the main...
Guess what? Biden doesn't want to defund the police. Actually, Biden is actually giving more money to the police. So I have no idea what he's talking about here.
Point of his speech, which is that people who criticize...
He just has a list of all the talking points, and he's just trying to meet all the quotas there.
Immigration policies are responsible for the violence you saw in Buffalo. Here's the President of the United States explaining that.
A hate that through the media and politics, the internet, has radicalized, angry, alienated, lost, and isolated individuals into falsely believing that they will be replaced, that's the word, replaced, by the other. And I condemn those who spread the lie for power, political gain, and for profit.
Just like Tucker.
You lock the country down, lock kids out of their schools for 2 years, force them to get, quote, educated on the internet, but it's someone else's fault that they're, quote, alienated.
What? Educated on the internet? What's going on? No, they're not getting educated on the internet. They have like the schools set up like certain meetings. So okay, I was out of school during this time, but everybody knows that getting educated on the internet and like having like Skype classes on the internet are two very different things.
Theory. You've heard a lot about the great replacement theory recently. It's everywhere in the last 2 days, and we're still not sure exactly what it is.
Yes, you do. He's lying right here. What a weasel little liar. He knows exactly what it is. Because I've shown you the video before we started talking about this. He talked about the great replacement theory over and over and over and over and over again. He's just lying right here. I cannot believe his audience cannot just see that he's lying here. What the hell?
Here's what we do know for a fact. There is a strong political component to the Democratic Party's immigration policy. We're not guessing this. We know this, and we know it because they have said so. They've said it again and again and again. They've written books on it, and monographs, and magazines.
Not true. Just like Kamala Harris, in her famous speech of telling South Americans, do not come to the border. You have to come here legally and shit like that. They're not super pro immigration. They're just pro immigration because the capitalists, they see that having more workers benefits businesses. That's the reason why they like immigration. Tucker here is a fascist. He's a piece of shit, and he only cares about white people and the money that goes into his pockets. That's why he's anti-immigration.
Articles. They have bragged about it endlessly. They talk about it on cable news constantly, and they say out loud, "We are doing this because it helps us to win elections."
To start this,
they are not worthy of being here. It is comprised of those who are documented and undocumented.
In a couple of presidential cycles, you'll be on election night. You'll be announcing that we're calling the 38 electoral votes of Texas for the Democratic nominee for president. It's changing. It's going to become a purple state and then a blue state because of the demographics.
The demographics of America are
Whoa, wait, hold up. That was out of context. You didn't play the entire clip of that. What did Biden say afterwards?
The Republican Party. The new voters in this country are moving away from them. And instead, they're moving to be independents or to even vote on the other side.
An unrelenting stream of immigration. Non-stop. Non-stop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute.
Well, wait, what? He's wrong here.
Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. fewer than 50% of the people in America from then and on will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
Maybe the funniest part is they may not be right. The Democratic Party has decided that rather than convince you, people who are born here, that their policies are helping you and making the country better and stronger, they will change the electorate. Again, they say that. We're not guessing. But the funniest part is they may be wrong, actually, judging by recent polling. It turns out your average Salvadoran landscaper has politics that are a lot closer to Donald Trump's than they are to Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah,
so basic calculation.
Why do you keep saying that? Okay, there you go. Then why do you keep saying that that they're gonna be voting Democrat? And if all the problem you have with this is only that Democrats are gonna get more power from this, but you said so right now that they actually vote more conservative, then what's the issue here? Why do you have a problem with it?
Completely wrong. But that's not even the point. It has nothing to do with who we're letting in. It has something with race and ethnicity. It has to do with two things. One, the purpose of the U.S. government is to serve American citizens, period. And two...
Yeah, once immigrants come over, they're American citizens. They have the right to live here because they did it legally.
They're telling you what their strategy is. When you note it, they scream at you and call you a criminal. In 2018, the New York Times published an editorial called "We Can Replace Them." Just in case subtlety is not your thing. Quote, right now, America is tearing itself apart as an embittered white conservative minority clings to power, terrified of being swamped by a new multiracial polyglot.
Let's see this. New York Times, we can replace them. For a few hours on Saturday morning, I felt good about America. I was a smallish rally at Atlanta suburb in Riverdale, listening to Democrat politicians, including Senator Kamala Harris and Georgia Stacey Abrams, who could become the first African-American female governor in American history. Abrams told a story he often repeats in the campaign trail about being 17 and arriving at the governor mansion for a reception for Georgia's high school valedictorians. Her family didn't have a car, and she described getting off the bus and walking parents along the side of the driveway, got approached, and she remembers saying, "This is a private event. You don't belong here." Though they were eventually let in, Abrams recalled a little of the event itself. Okay. When you help 10 days, we'll open gates for Ryder Crow. When the rally was over, I checked the news, reported killings, 3 life Senegal, Pittsburgh coming in. The social media posts of the man arrested in shooting echoed the lie being peddled by Donald Trump. Fox News, some Republican politicians, paints a group of bedraggled migrants about 1,000 miles away as a dangerous living horde subsidized by a shadowy puppet master and gunman rampage believed to be the deadliest anti-Semitic massacre in American history came on the heels of bomb campaign against leading them. Okay, so this is right now. There is more. But right now, the we can replace them. It's just talking about how it's not talking about that we are going to replace white people. It's talking about how white people think these deranged white people are going to think that that they're going to get replaced. So it's nothing like Tucker is talking about. If this is the right it is New York Times and it is the right title. So I think this is the right article. So let's continue reading this. The government rampage believed to be racist to African Americans, but right now America is tearing itself apart. An embedded white conservative minority claims of power, terrified of being swapped by a new multiracial pelagia. I don't even know what the fuck that words mean. Majority, and the divide feels especially stark in Georgia, where the midterm election is a battle between Trumpist reaction and multicultural America, who emerged the right is trying at all costs to forestall. Anytime there is progress made, there will always be moments of retrenchment, Abrams said to me later on Saturday, but she added, what am I more excited about this about is the counterforce that we're seeing in the number of people running for office who represent a much more forward-looking progressive vision. Abrams' goal is to put together a correlation of African American and other minority voters and white liberals, again, white people as well. The potential is there. Georgia is less than 53% non-Hispanic white. Georgia is a blue state if everybody votes, DuBois Porter, chairman of the Democratic Party of Georgia, told me. So Abrams' opponent, Georgia Secretary, Brian Kevlin, what does happen last week? Georgia's audio camp telling donors concerned anybody exercises the right to vote, as the Secretary of State overseeing his own election is taking steps to make that harder. So again, just talking about how in Georgia, Brian Kemp makes it harder for minorities to vote, and they just want everybody to have like equal rights to vote and to use their right to vote. Right so far, so it's nothing about like what he's saying, like, oh, we're gonna replace the white people. None of that's happening right now. Simply because they didn't vote with previous election, he's fighting court order to stop rejecting the destiny of the signatures. Kemp is a candidate. Okay, very long, and it's talking about how they want to replace Republicans, not white people, specifically Republicans. Saturday morning, Abrams closed by reminding the crowd of Kemp's views on democracy. He said he is concerned that if everyone's eligible to vote in Georgia does so, he will lose this election. She said, let's prove him right. In a week, American voters can do to white nationalists what they fear most, show them that they're being replaced. And she's talking about American voters, not minorities. She's talking about like white people as well can replace racist white nationalists. So this is okay. So this article is nothing like Tucker Carlson is talking about.
Flat majority. Right. Okay. In 2020, Joe Scarborough, a real moral voice over at MSNBC, quoted this: Trumpism accelerated damage done by demographic changes and will harm Republicans for years. Demographics is destiny, end quote. Are you allowed to say that? Once again, they're wrong. Trumpism accelerated damage done by demographic changes and will harm Republicans for years.
Here's what settled damage done by Democrats. Okay, Democrats underperformed in congressional races and state legislative contests. At the same time, the weeping and gnashing teeth over these failures obscure a more permanent reality. Trumpism accelerated damage done by demographic changes and will harm Republican free.
Demographics is destiny, end quote. Are you allowed to say that? Once again, they're wrong. And if you haven't looked at an electoral map recently, look at the districts, the almost 100% Hispanic districts in the Rio Grande Valley that are bearing the brunt of our open borders. They're now red. So you're wrong, Joe Scarborough, but the fact that you're saying demographics is destiny tells you...
I don't know. Joe Scarborough, I have no idea.
It's coming from the left. They don't think it's a theory, they think it's real. In 2021, the Washington Post...
Probably more context to that, though. Just like the article I pulled up, there's way more context that shows that, you know what, that article is actually pretty right, and it wasn't talking about replacing white people. It was just talking about replacing Republicans and white supremacists.
That the number of white people in this country was declining. Can you even imagine? Quote, "This is fabulous news," she wrote. "Now we need to prevent minority white rule." My God, talking like that. Is there any more divisive thing you could write? We could give you a million more.
If that is true, if he's not, what you call it? If he's not, if there's more context to this, which is probably is, I don't trust Tucker. But if this is actually true, what he's talking about here, yeah, you probably shouldn't write something like that. Honestly, I think it's pretty cringe if you write like specifically prevent minority white rule. Just say, replace that with like majority Republicans, because or majority like white supremacist rule. Minority, I meant.
More examples. We're offended by this because it's wrong, and we've said so. But for saying so, according to Carl Cameron on MSNBC today, we should be thrown in jail. Watch.
You got to watch out because the Republicans have become the purveyors of misinformation.
True.
And when our
the great replacement when it comes to COVID and the vaccine, and also when it comes to the election being stolen. So that is true.
Party system
and
is
other
broken
more
like
shit
that.
like that.
Democracy is seriously in trouble. The president acknowledged that. It's time to actually start doing things and maybe taking some names and putting people in jail.
Maybe taking some names and putting people in jail. Who would those people be? Well, thanks to the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York, we now know. Schumer just sent a letter to our bosses here at Fox News blaming this show for the mass murder in Buffalo, as well as several other mass shootings in recent years.
True.
According to Chuck Schumer, this show spreads, quote, dangerous rhetoric and needs to be pulled off the air immediately in the name of public safety. Now, again, Chuck Schumer is a federal official. He is the leading Democrat in the United States Senate. And he is calling for media censorship. Now, there was a time, like maybe 18 months ago, and that would be considered a direct violation of the First Amendment. Now, we hear it every day. Let's throw them in jail. We wanted to hear more from...
Well, yeah, I disagree with a person in government saying that. But me, not being in government, I agree with what he says. And I'm not in power or anything, and I do believe that if you're not in power, you can't say that shit because you're just an average citizen. Even if you're a Republican and you say like, oh, like CNN should go to jail, you're just a random like citizen. So yeah, you can go ahead and say that. But I don't like when government people do say that.
Chuck Schumer about this. We invited him on the show tonight, as we always do. And because he is a coward, this is the only media appearance probably in history he's turned down.
That's it. Didn't apologize, nothing. Just went on to say that the Great Misplacement is still like happening and giving like false shit, just like this opinion trying to say that they're going to replace all white people, which is not true. If you actually read the article, it does not say that at all. Nowhere to be found. Just puts up a quote out of context. But yeah, there you go. Tucker Carlson is a big reason why this happened, and is still going to be continuing to be a big reason why this is still going to be happening. So, yep, if you like the video, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment down below, and peace.